Hi, I'm Amanda Lee Cobb, and this is Wild About New York City. You know, most New Yorkers go to and from their jobs, bustling around, doing their daily activities, and they never have any idea that they're actually on an island in the Atlantic Ocean. With the exception of the Bronx, that's a peninsula connected to the continental USA, New York City is actually an archipelago, a series of islands surrounded by bays, rivers, and the Atlantic Ocean. Here on the peninsula of Far Rockaway, Queens, you can see the vast Atlantic Ocean, which is home to a myriad of aquatic life, fish, and marine mammals. Today, we're going aboard the American Princess to see if we can catch a glimpse of some of New York's most unseen seasonal residents, humpback whales and bottlenose dolphins. We'll talk to a marine biologist and a naturalist, as well as the captain, who's responsible for the resurgence of these kinds of tours in the Big Apple. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Wild About New York City.
That slick spot, that very calm spot of water you see there, that's known as the whale's footprint. That's where he just was, and that's the imprint he left at the surface of the water. That's the whale's footprint.
My name is Paul Seeswater, and I'm the director of Gotham Whale. Gotham Whale is the research and education arm of the American Princess Cruises. And we have been finding whales right here in New York City. We began our work in 2009 when I retired from the New York Aquarium. And we were going out in the wintertime to examine the harbor seals that were returning to Swinburne Island. That's a small island right off of Staten Island. And we were finding that each year more and more seals came back. Then in 2010, our captain, Tom Palladino, began getting reports about whales being right here in the lower New York Bay. And so we said, do you think we could do whale watching as much as we've been doing this seal watching activity. And we gave it a shot. And those first years where there were not too many whales that we were able to find, we only had 5 sightings in 2011, and that was for a total of, with 3 sightings, I'm sorry, with a total of 5 whales. And every year since, that has more than doubled. And last year in 2014, we had over 106 sightings with 87 whales. Now the difference between those numbers is that a sighting can be one location at one particular time. So we in fact could see more whales than just one at any particular sighting. What we also have been able to do, Gotham Whale, just like the organizations up in Massachusetts and Maine have been doing for years, is we look at the undersides of the whale's fluke. And each fluke is as unique to the whale as fingerprints are to human beings. So we can tell from that underside fluke shot an individual whale. And we've been able to document that whales are coming back year over year. We've also got an indication of how long they stay around in one place, because we know our signature whale, Jerry, or Rockaway Jerry, or as I scientifically call it, NYC0011, that whale has returned year over year, and in fact we're able to locate it feeding in very similar area during the season, this past season. So in that case, we're contributing to the overall look of the understanding of why whales are coming back to the waters of New York City. So the work of Gotham Whale is what we call citizen science. That's where citizens, regular folks, help out a scientific activity. And what is done by the people participating on board the American Princess, they give Gotham Whale a unique platform to be out on the water. And we're out there collecting the information about which whales we see, how many, and what species. We've been able to see primarily humpback whales and bottlenose dolphins. But it seems like at the tail end of each season, fin whales and common dolphins will come in. So we're getting a sense of the changes that take place in these waters. But it still amazes me every time I go out to think that there are whales in the foreground of our photography, and in the background is the skyline of Manhattan. That just is remarkable. So when we're able to see these animals, document how many we see, the question always arises is why are they coming back? And I think it's a number of factors that have all come together in this time. In the early 70s, a whole series of legislative actions were put into place. The Clean Water Act, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, the Clean Air Act, the EPA, all of those legislation took place, and I think that has really made an influence in the way the waters of New York are. There are many, many activist organizations up and down the Hudson, all around the harbor, who have also put their efforts in making the waters of New York City cleaner and better for marine life. And it all begins with the water. As if the water is clean, the algae grows nicely, provides food for the zooplankton. The zooplankton provides food for the smaller fish, and bigger fish eat the smaller fish, all the way up to whales. Whales feed here primarily on menhaden. Menhaden is known as the most important fish in the sea. Most people have never heard of menhaden. Local fishermen call them bunker, and they're used for bait. And we see them in massive schools with the whales coming through, lunge feeding, and feeding their bellies up all summer long in order to make the winter trip back down south where they mate and give birth. So when people ask, are whales smart? Are they intelligent animals? I say certainly are. They know enough to go south for the winter.
Hi, my name is Christy Ashley Collum, and I'm a graduate student at this conservation biology program at Hunter College. I'm working with Dr. Diana Reese in her lab where she studies dolphin cognition and dolphin communication. I'm also working here with Paul Siswarda and Eric Angel Ramos to be able to identify the different populations of dolphins here, to look at coastal dolphins, common dolphins, Atlantic white-sided dolphins, and bottlenose dolphins. We're interested in doing a marine mammal survey to find out where these populations are going, if they're resident or if they're transient, if they're visiting here or staying here year-round. Being a native New Yorker, growing up in New York, I would have never imagined that I'd be doing my marine mammal research here, right outside my back door. But there's vibrant wildlife here. We have humpback whales, we see cow-nosed rays, there are sharks, there are seabirds, and I'm focusing on the bottlenose dolphin population primarily because I'm interested in their social structure and their communication. Right now I'm in my first year of a marine mammal survey. I'm trying to determine what numbers we're seeing of bottlenose dolphins. Here we tend to see hundreds in a group, which is known as a superpod. Dolphins live in fission-fusion societies, so they often congregate for social strategies and foraging strategies, and then disperse into smaller groups, usually when they go off to mate. We see a lot of calves here as well, and just in being able to photograph the dorsal fins of these dolphins, we can actually identify them and find out if we're seeing repeat occurrences of the same animal or if there is a vibrant population here and if it's growing. We're trying to determine these barnacles, these types of Urobilina parasites that we see on the dorsal fin of many bottlenose dolphins here, what their role is and if they're a parasite, to try and find out what the relationship is with these dolphins and find out what symbiotic relationships dolphins may have with other animals in this habitat. We often see humpback whales congregating together with bottlenose dolphins, so there might be some type of social relationship there where they're keying in to let each other know where the prey is. So here on the American Princess cruises, they've been doing whale watching expeditions for over 5 years. And in the last 4 years, Gotham Whale has been able to identify certain humpback whale individuals here by identifying their fluke patterns. You see, each fluke of a humpback whale has a unique fingerprint, a unique print on the back underside of their fluke, on the ventral side of their fluke. And so if you're looking at it, you can actually tell that that's Rockaway Jerry or that's Roxanne. You can be able to identify their patterns. We're just beginning now to be able to do the same thing with dolphins by photographing their dorsal fins and being able to do some video to find out the social structure, to identify the different calves that are with their moms. They have a particular swim pattern where they swim alongside them. And these animals are highly sentient, cognitive, communicative, and creative beings. So learning about them can help us too. It can help us understand how we can be able to conserve our oceans and our environment. It can help in coastal development and in education and outreach so that we can explore our ocean and realize that there's a vibrant source of wildlife here that we need to protect. The Clean Ocean Act in the 1970s has helped us greatly to transform this habitat, and the Marine Mammal Protection Act has helped bring these marine mammals back to our oceans, and I hope they stay there. To find out more about how you can help preserve our oceans and encourage marine mammal research in the area, you can come aboard American Princess Cruises to come out for a whale watching expedition or a seal trip this winter, and you can follow Gotham Whale and be able to determine what our research is doing and contribute, if you can, to help save marine mammals and encourage research in the area. I also work with Diana Reese in the Dolphin and Communication Lab at Hunter College, and we do expeditions to Belize and the Bahamas as well. If you're interested, I hope to see you on one of these expeditions where we can further our research on these cognitive beings. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Captain Tom Palladino of the American Princess. I'd like to give you a little background of how I got into the marine industry. It was actually my father started a fishing business in 1945, September of 1945, when he got back from World War II. He started a fishing business in Gerritsen Beach, Brooklyn, with a boat called the LCK-2. As I grew up, I was on the boat since I'm 5 years old, and we went fishing every day. We went to school in the winter and fishing in the summer. When I got to be 19 years old, I got my captain's license and I started driving the fishing boat. We did fishing from 1945 when he started up till 2005, 60 years that we were in the fishing business. Things changed in the fishing business a lot as the years went by. Fishing got a little slower, there was more regulations, and then 9/11 came along and they needed boats to do transportation, so we did a little of that for 9/11 and trying to get the people back and forth to work. We were also in the cruise business, we're in the dinner cruise business, in the casino business, so we've been in almost every business that is marine oriented. Around the year 2002, the waters have been getting cleaner and cleaner through the 90s and into the 21st century, and all of a sudden whales and dolphins started to show up. We started to see more birds around the area that we've never seen before, and the sightings of whales and dolphins became more and more and more. So in 2005 we started a couple of whale watch trips, and the first year we saw whales and dolphins on about 50% of the trips. The next year was 60%, the next year it was 70%, and now we're basically in the ferry business. We bring people back and forth to the beaches on the weekends, and we go whale and dolphin watching from Memorial Day through November. The sightings the last 2 years have been almost 90% of our trips we see whales and dolphins. So with the ecology just getting better and better, it's been a tremendous increase in all the mammals and the bait fish, and it's just been a pleasant change, switch over from fishing to watching them, not catching them anymore, actually watching the whales and dolphins and birds. And we had a bald eagle here the last couple of years. So the environment is just getting better and better and better, and it's just a pleasurable thing to be in party boat business this time of year.